Excellent. Okay, so there's a little bit of a presentation on this one, but not going to go sort of crazy on the slides, but I will share a couple of slides with you all on this one. But feel free to speak up or wave your hands at me if you want to speak, or put something in the chat, any questions and that you've got, because it's probably a bit better if it's a bit of back and forth. Let's see if the technology will work. So yeah, just a quick introduction how to get started with AI. But from the chat, I assume quite a few of you were actually already playing around with ChatGPT or DALL-E or Midjourney or anything like that. Is there anyone that hasn't been using it? Alex, sort of see a few faces here. Yeah, a couple of people sort of say haven't been using it. Okay, so hopefully we'll kind of get you started on it. Luckily, it's generally quite easy to get started, and then the more you use it, like any tool, the better you'll get at playing around with it. And my slides aren't working. There we go. So first off, this is one for Emily, as she's moderating here, but also for everyone. I decided to create a little poem for the Digital Circus Live, and this is there was no real effort from me that went into this at all. As you can see, my prompt is at the top there. But you know, this shows that sort of things that actually ChatGPT is very good at, due to the nature of poems and sonnets and stories, and they have a melody to them. They have a sequence of words that work well. ChatGPT is actually very good at creating this sort of thing, because it's very good at understanding patterns of and how things sound. But yes, it's just a little fun thing that I did with that. It's amazing the poems that you can create very quickly. So the tools are multiplying constantly, as I mentioned in my presentation. I've kind of mentioned a few there: ChatGPT, Copilot from Microsoft, Bing as well, obviously from Microsoft. Canva has recently integrated AI in their platform as well. If you go and click on the apps part of Canva, it will access the AI generation part of Canva. And then we have DALL-E and Midjourney as well. All these platforms, except for Copilot, which hasn't been released yet, but will be released shortly, all these platforms have a free-to-use level. So you can just sign up to these platforms and with your email, so your Gmail or your social media account, or obviously an email, and you'll get free access to use them for free straight away. Let me just share my other screen. Sorry, just whilst I flick screens, share screen. So this is an example of DALL-E. So can you see that, everyone? I've lost everyone else. There we go. This is an example of DALL-E, how it works. All you have to look to find it is Google DALL-E-E or DALL-E. It's a play on the Wall-E from Disney. And as I said, you sign up with your email and you get, I think it's about 100, 150 free credits to that platform. And this one, like Canva, is quite nice because it works through your web browser, and you just start working with, just put in words and start trying to play with it as the early sort of suggestion. I will just stop. I will share. I won't be doing this all the way through, but I just want to show you how the different things work. I'll also just show you Midjourney, which in fairness is actually has a higher quality of output than probably Canva, Bing, and DALL-E. However, to operate it, you do have to use Discord, which is, if no one's used it before, is another social media community platform, which is another barrier to entry. I'll kind of admit you have to get comfortable with that platform, and then you have to start using Midjourney, but the quality is slightly better. And again, you get a number of free credits on that one to trial it out to sort of see how it goes. I'll go back to my presentation. So the big thing about all these platforms is that I'm not going to go through how to sort of sign up to each one individually. The thing is, it is generally just signing up with your email address, and then you'll get access to the platform. And I will use a few real sort of person examples of this with ChatGPT. But the prompts are the artist paintbrush. you know, it's how the words that you put in to these AI platforms and the quality of those words is how well it'll work for you. So to start off with, you might ask it to write a blog post on graphic design, and it'll spit out a blog post on graphic design. It'll be pretty poor, it'll be pretty generic, and you'll probably think, well, this is a waste of time. I don't understand why you'd want to go on it at all, sort of thing. So just as as an idea that it's, as you kind of understand these things, you probably become better, it will become more useful. Yes, Liam. I guess I feel like I have to be on everything. So that's Liam saying, I mean, on a lot of channels, I'm trying to keep up with all the different changes that are happening. There's hundreds of AI platforms out there now, so it's impossible to keep up. Visual prompts. So I'll just talk very quickly about this, and then I'll mainly go about ChatGPT. Visual prompts: think like an artist, think like a photographer, think like a painter. You can, some of my examples earlier where I just put in paint what Salvador Dali would have done around AI, and it created an image for me. You can do things in, as you can kind of see on the screen behind here, street art, futurism, anything you can, Renaissance imagery I've used before. For a blog post I created, I had an image by the Renaissance artist holding a mobile phone to kind of try and merge the two sort of technologies and that creativity sort of together. Here we go. Things to kind of think about is the mood and vibe that you want in the picture. So try to work out with it. Is it a dark scene? Is it exciting? Is it post-apocalyptic? What is the vibe of the image that you want? Genre, it could be, you could choose things like Pixar, Disney, obviously same thing, Marvel, comics, all these things you can kind of play around with, choose. Films, 1960s films, black and white, so lots of sort of opportunities. Artist styles, I've just mentioned, you can choose any of your favorite artists, and if they're famous and have a considerable following across the internet, the chances are you'll be able to use most types of artist styles. So if there's someone you particularly like, you can bring that into it. I'm a big fan of Games Workshop art, and I've been able to create some of the art pieces from those sort of artists that work in those brands. Art styles, that's where I kind of surrealism, pop art, all those things. If you're a photographer, bring this experience in. Think about what lens you would use, what the different types of lenses make, different types of cameras, using a cameras from the 1960s, thinking about light apertures, all the elements that you use in photography, you can now use in these to create different visual elements and create different styles within what you create visually. Lighting, I've just kind of sort of the model, which is the person, or the equipment or the object, whatever it is. Where is it? Is it in the center of the room? Is it on a chair? Is it on a shelf? Is it near the window? Is it far away from the window? Is it in the shadows? Again, you can kind of move around and play. The scope is massive in what you can kind of change in these. You can also upload imagery and merge two images together, or you can use the images that I used for my pictures for Digital Circus were all AI created. I uploaded a picture of my face and my hand, and I asked it to put me in an outfit of a ringmaster, and it sort of created a circus scene around me in a sort of gothic punk. So if you kind of go back, if you look at the main stage imagery and things that I used. So let me stop sharing for a minute. How has anyone used, what sort of prompts have people used for ChatGPT at the moment? Yes, Jodie?
I'm trying to make it come up with a new idea, and I haven't been able to do so yet, but I've been talking about invent a creative thinking prompt to help business owners, whatever, which is what I do for all my content.
Yeah.
Because I think it would save my brain from doing it. But it just regurgitates all the crap that's out there already in a new way. But I've not read anything inventive yet, and I don't know whether that ability to juxtapose two ideas and create new thinking is yet to come, or my prompts are rubbish. But I've not been able to come up with anything usable that crosses my threshold of interesting creative thinking.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it could be an element of both. ChatGPT's knowledge is obviously limited up until December 2021, so there's an element just to take that into consideration, which will change once the plugins come in. But the prompt styles is to, if you're trying to create and merge ideas, I mean, one thing to really consider, and a few of you might have seen this online with LinkedIn, Mark Schaefer shared this, but ChatGPT is from a male's perspective. So straight away, there is the default perspective of ChatGPT when you put anything into it is a man. So often, just by saying act like you're a woman or a female, and also you can put from generation, so act like you're a female from Gen Z or millennial or generation alpha, and respond to me in this conversation. It could also be that come from this as a perspective of someone who's worked their whole life as an artist, and you're trying to create a product for content creators or something like that. So, and the big thing that I see is that it's chat. It's not here's a prompt, here's an answer. It's chat to it and say, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. However, can you take this and come at it from a perspective of someone who has no budget? Or let's have it. Can you give me 5 new creative ideas around that, or give me 5 ideas that are really far out there and off the bat sort of thing? Anyone else sort of had any? I will sort of share just a few sort of examples. Adam.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, and it's working well for me. I told ChatGPT it's my LinkedIn growth specialist coach.
Yeah.
And it's quite astonishing what it's come back with. I basically wrote saying that it's a entrepreneurial AI growth specialist system, and I'm your human counterpart. Grow my account within the next 90 days to 10,000 followers. And of course, it came back with generic information of how to grow a LinkedIn account. Now, this is great, but here's my LinkedIn profile. Be more specific. This is what I do. This is what I sort of work with and people I target and stuff like that. It then came back with a 90-day content plan. Similar people with similar case studies who have grown their account in 90 days. And also some things to research on that will help actually grow my LinkedIn profile. It's shocking. It's amazing.
Yes, yeah. I saw that in the chat, and I thought that was a really sort of clever use of it. And I think that's the act as if you are is probably one of the most powerful, along with the ability to dive in. So if you don't understand something, or if you don't feel like it's coming from the right perspective, it's to treat it out as a conversation, follow up, and kind of how else can you come at this? I'll just share again my window. So just a few examples, sort of like to give you an idea, sort of personas. That's kind of what we just put. Act as if you are, film stars, thought leaders, customer personas. I had to create, and I needed to update my branding workshop that I deliver for Get Set Solent. So I asked it to act as if certain different thought leaders. So I chose act as if you are Mark Schaefer, act as if you are Seth Godin, and create a 3-hour presentation on branding for me. And it gave me the framework. Most of it was straightforward. Certain areas I was like, what do you mean by this? And again, you just jump into that section and ask, and it'll go in a bit more detail for you about what it means by what are some of the key metrics that you can measure when you're trying to build someone's brand up, just so you can kind of see what other areas that you might have missed. So as much context as possible. Context is really important. As Adam was just mentioning there with the LinkedIn, it's kind of like, if you just come into it and just ask the question straight off the bat, it will just give you a very general answer because it has no context. Once you start to give it context about you, your target market, the market you're operating in, the work that you've done so far, yes, you do have a word limit on ChatGPT sort of thing, around about 3,000 words or something. It seems to always kick it off for me around that area. It says it has a lot more, but it doesn't in practice. Allows you to create a lot more context. If you are doing large amounts, you need it to summarize a large amount of data. So for example, for my AI chat, I did a lot of research to see what was happening around the world, what other thought leaders were saying and things like that. It ran to, I think it was about 20,000 words in total, stuff I copied and pasted. So I basically put that into ChatGPT in sections. I did it in 2,500 words. And I said, this is section 1. Remember, this is section 1. When you understand, please say, okay. Okay, this is section 2. Have you copied section 1 and section 2 into your memory? Yes. Okay. And like that and that. And then I asked it, now create, using section 1, 2, 3, and 4, a consolidated, easy to consume information about where AI is at the moment. And then it spat out about 800 words worth of consolidated data for me. That was easy to consume. So there's ways that you can kind of get over some of the artificial barriers that are in place around the sort of restrictions that ChatGPT has in its area. You can ask it to reply via a specific framework. So if you're writing product descriptions, or you do a blog in a certain way, or you're doing you have to summarize some data for a client or for your boss or anything like that, you can ask it to give you some information and then apply in the framework below. So make sure that whenever you reply, you always give a summary and then the details in 5 bullet points, and then a clear call to action at the end. Something along those lines, whatever framework you want. You can ask it to reply in tables, bullets, and paragraphs. If you want graphs and things like that, you can ask it to tell you how to do that certain thing inside Excel. So if it's like you have to create certain equations and things like that in Excel to get the table, the graph that you want, it will give you the information about how to create those tables and graphs. You can kind of usually tell ChatGPT style, especially when there's not a lot of prompting put around it. The language can seem it seems artificial. There's an artificialness to it. One way to get around that is asking it to use metaphors, stories, pop cultures, philosophy. Use the philosophy of the Stoics or something along those lines. Again, this changes and brings out a bit more creativity in its style of reply. You can ask it as a bit like what Adam mentioned. You can ask it to use it be your coach, or your not just a coach in business, but coach in life. Speak to me as your Socrates, and I'll get it to challenge your ideas. Get it to kind of think about things from a different perspective. What are you missing? Because we're blind to our weaknesses and our blind spots. AI can help us see those blind spots before we launch with campaigns. So it's kind of ask AI to play devil's advocate. And go down the rabbit hole is probably the last one. But the kind of more you can kind of dig into a point and explanations and things like that is quite incredible. Not just time, so I will. Just some uses within sort of customer surveys in understanding your customer a little bit better. Feedback on reviews, questions, and emails. So sometimes it can be hard to know what to respond if someone gives you reviews, especially if you run an e-commerce business and you positively get lots of reviews. It can be difficult to always come back with something nice and in mood with your brand and funny and things like that. Use an AI to reply to some of those, to put together messages for you to reply to those reviews is quite good. Top FAQs for your products or your industry or your service. And create a focus group. Act like you are at your customer profile and ask questions for a focus group. So you could have various different, create 3 different personas and get them to have a conversation about your product, which is quite an interesting sort of experiment to run through. Marketing, again, survey data, as I kind of mentioned, exactly the same as I did for the research that I did for my talk. You can do that with your survey data, input large amounts of data that's mixed up and all over the place, like when we do research, when we get survey response, and ask it to come back in a useful manner. Create a marketing campaign again, sort of keep coming back to Adam on this idea, but how Adam did with his 90-day LinkedIn campaign. You can do that around various different marketing strategies. And again, none of this that that ChatGPT spits out to you is the finished product. It gets you past the blank page. It gets you past the framework. So for like my branding workshop, it just got me past the idea, okay, what's the best structure and order for this presentation to go in? It kind of helped me get that process right. I had to go in and fill in all the details. It wasn't just me regurgitating AI back through. To help you create lead nurturing emails or email series. summarize podcast show notes. Again, this is quite a lengthy task because you're restricted by the character limit, so you have to keep asking it to remember 2,500 word sections at a time. This is the transcript for a podcast. Remember, this is part 1. This is transcript for a podcast. This is part 2, and you keep going through in that way. Reduce the reading age of content to grade 6. Generally, most of the time we should be writing to a lower reading age, so that it makes it easier. Not always the case, but often if we're creating content for social media and general consumption, this can help lower and remove some of those words where are unnecessary fillers or are used there just to make ourselves feel a little bit better and a little bit more clever than we maybe sort of are going for with the content. Any questions or anyone? Anything anyone would like to? Yeah, there was Liam just asked a question there. Any connection between Web3 technologies, NFTs, blockchains? No, I don't think there's a tension between them, Liam, on that front. I think it's very much a we need AI to have blockchain. Blockchain will allow the proliferation of deep fake and things for us to be able to work out what is fake, what is real and what isn't real, because you'll be able to start proving different assets online through the blockchain. Smart contracts, which is another part of the blockchain, which is where contracts are executed automatically without any intermediary being involved, such as a bank or a solicitor or anything else that you could think where a contract is in place. They will be run on AI as well. So again, there's that kind of connection between the two. Hope does that make sense? That was very quick. But yeah. Sarah Powell, is it better to use ChatGPT to get started on an article or to refine to get to the end article? Both. I would say it's very helpful to get you past the blank page, just to kind of like, okay, this is, give me a structure or give me the start, give me the hook. And then you can very much, once you've written it and you've put in change that into your own words, as I said, which you can generally tell AI-powered text, you can then ask it to act as an editor, your high-level copy editor. Now review this and again, give it the persona, give it the context and those sort of things so it understands it, and read from my document, what would your feedback be? And again, you can take what you think is right and you can ignore what you think isn't or doesn't fit with your particular style and the purpose of what you're trying to do. So Jodie, this is a good opportunity for me to promote myself, sort of thing. So this is Web3 emails newsletter, which I will share my details actually all on my profile. Is going to be having a section on there, sort of how either sharing links and resources or sort of some of the best prompts. It has had a little bit of a hiatus for the last 3 weeks, but it is coming back after this week, after a little bit of a reshuffle. There's loads of questions. Where shouldn't you use ChatGPT in your opinion? That's Adam. That's from Adam. Good question, Adam. I think I don't know where you shouldn't, to be fair. I guess unless there's proprietary data and things like that, you work for the MOD or something. I would say it is the point to not use it to create something and put it online, or just to copy and paste what ChatGPT writes to you and you throw it into your email, into your social media content, into your reply to your partner, or I've used it to create a story for my daughter, to see how it, just as a bit of a place or see what it come up with. But again, I still needed to change it. So I think that's the big thing, is being aware of it and not just sort of taking what it writes as the end product. Excellent. Thanks very much, those signing up to the newsletter. Yeah, so that's probably a good point there from Jamie. Obviously, it is a beta test, ChatGPT, so it's not sharing, it's not storing what you actually write, but it is storing how you write it. And don't ask me how the technology behind that works, sort of thing. Jamie might be able to explain that better than I could. He's more technical than I am. But yes, it is obviously being used to train their model for the, when it finishes going through beta release. So there is sort of to be aware of. My partner works for Defence Science and Tech Laboratory up in Salisbury. And I was saying, so I'll just dump it all into ChatGPT and that'll sort that document out for you in 10 minutes. And she's like, I don't think I can do that. So there is do be aware of what you are sharing through the platform. Yeah, there is, to Adam, there is things that sort of help detect content. So I'm very conscious. It was obviously a lot of stuff that there's a huge conversation around ChatGPT. The newsletter is obviously a good starting point. Just please connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter as well. And also join us at Get Set Solent, where I will be running some more in-depth sort of 2-hour, 3-hour workshops on ChatGPT and Midjourney and DALL-E and how to use these tools. We run one a month, and each month they get updated a little bit more because the technology is moving so fast. It's really quite a challenge to stay up to date on it. But yeah, no, thanks everyone for all the questions that you put out there. It's and also for sharing, Jodie and Adam, kind of how you've used it as well, and Adam, Carly as well, online. Thank you very much. And Emily is back.
Thank you so much, Steen. That was absolutely fascinating. Mine's a little bit blown, actually. So much there. I'm going to actually watch this back on replay later on as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Everybody, to move you away from this room, we're about to start on the main stage again with Greg. So go for a wee stop if you need to, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks very much. Bye.